What's up guys, Rich Source here, back with another YouTube video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tarkov. Should you come back after the patch 16 update and wipe? Let's find out.
Let's go! Patch point 16 is finally here, and it came with an Escape from Tarkov wipe. And if you look at the patch notes, it looks like there is a lot crammed into this wipe.
Yeah, they did cram a lot of this in there, or a lot of new stuff in there. Most of it I feel was unnecessary. It was just more like holiday themed around the idea of that. But they did do a couple things.
I know a lot of people are wondering how the wipe feels, and a lot of people have taken breaks from Tarkov and are wondering if it's worth it to come back. So I wanted to take a day to actually play the wipe, so I'm not just reading through the patch notes. I wanted to get a feel for how the wipe actually feels so I can break everything down. So let's dive right in. So before we talk about what's actually new with the patch, I do want to take a quick second and talk about performance. Obviously, it's nothing new that the most performance hiccups are going to be at the very beginning of a wipe.
Yeah, and I experienced this as soon as I dove into the wipe. I was getting like 15-20 frames per second, constant enemies spawning out of nowhere, or they weren't rendering, and then we would just die. But there was like invisible AI spawning somewhere and just shooting us, and you wouldn't hear gunshots or nothing. We'd just be bleeding.
But I wanted to kind of go through how it actually feels. Right off the rip, they had a little bit of a struggle. They had to kind of soft rewipe the game initially, because when we all got into the game, there were a bunch of flea market listings from the previous wipes still listed. So a bunch of people were buying stuff that they shouldn't have. So that kind of caused a little bit of a rollback, but that seems to be kind of behind us already. However, there have been a bunch of reported kind of big bugs, a 99% bug where people are stuck on loading into a map at 99% and then their game crashes. I've seen clips of some crazy audio.
Yeah, I think we had the game crash a couple times as well.
Bugs. Pestily posted one where it sounded like a dog was barking at him.
I mean, I wasn't going to go loot him, but he didn't know that. I might have.
Then it got... There's more than one. Oh, shit. The fuck is that noise?
There have definitely been some weird bugs with the reverb as well. I've heard reports that the silent crouch walking is back, and the FPS drops and the lag and rubber banding have been pretty bad.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, the hard FPS drops have been something that plagued all of last wipe as well. It seems like that has continued on, but the packet loss and the rubber banding seems to be worse. Now, not everybody is experiencing all of these things. My personal playthrough has been actually relatively bug-free, but a lot of people in chat were pretty much bricked out of playing the game because they would just get stuck on that 99% bug and they couldn't progress. So as with all wipes, you know, your mileage may vary, but I do want to kind of toss out some of those bugs. It is also worth noting that BSG just tweeted today, basically a full list of things that they're aware of and are working on, and patches will come out for these, like the 99% bug and a lot of these other bugs.
Well, let's go back and read that. Dear players, thank you for your feedback and reports of the issues you encountered on the first day of the patch. We'll soon be releasing a series of technical updates aimed at fixing the following issues. Issues causing the game client to freeze when loading loot on ground zero. Yeah, we've had that. Known synchronization issues between EFT and EFT arena profiles. I don't have arena, so I can't speculate on that. Issues causing the raid progress in PvE zones to not be counted. I haven't played PvE since the wipe. We've only been playing PvP. Issues causing backend error after leaving a raid in PvE zone. Issues causing the game timer to reset to 0 when playing as a scav. Known issues when interacting with the hideout. Known issues when visiting other players' hideout. Issues when unlocking Jaeger even after fulfilling all the requirements. Issues with mechanic tasks getting acquainted, automatically filling if the task was taken before patch 16 was released, returning certain items, the icon visuals to the previous version.
Are working on, and patches will come out for these, like the 99% bug and a lot of these other bugs in the next day or so. So I guess it's good that they're working on it so quickly, but unfortunate that these early wipes are always a bit of a struggle.
All right.
Moving on to what's actually new in the patch. Like I said earlier, there's a lot in the patch notes. If you just scroll through them, they seem really long. However, like most of the time, you can kind of break these up into like minor things, quality of life things, or small things that don't affect gameplay too.
Like I said, a lot of it seemed minor. Most of it seemed like it was just holiday season implementations. Not really anything that affects the performance of the game or anything, but just kind of like, you know, adding snow to the maps and little Christmas themed things here and there.
Too much. and the bigger things. And I don't think that there are too many huge changes coming this wipe, but there are a few, and I do think these might actually have some pretty significant impacts on the game. Let's start with the big stuff first, and we have to talk about the economy. There were two big changes that happened with this patch concerning the economy. One is that the flea market will not be open for 2 weeks after yesterday. So 2 weeks from yesterday, when the wipe hit, nobody will be able to access the flea market no matter what level you are for 2 weeks. So this is obviously trying to slow down that early wipe and try to prevent a few people from getting access to the flea market early and then snowballing it. Secondly, the hideout. Everything you need to upgrade the modules in your hideout now requires found in raid items. So if you die with them, they're no longer found in raid, you can't use it, you can't shove it in your secure container and not worry about it anymore, and you cannot buy those items off the flea market. I could probably talk for like 30 minutes about Tarkov's economy and these two things in general, but I'm not here to tell you how to feel about the economy or those things. I will say my initial reaction for the flea market thing was, I don't really care. It was like, okay, cool, let's see. You know, last wipe.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like a big deal waiting 2 weeks on flea market. I haven't even hit 15 yet anyways, so I can't even use it.
We tried the no found in raid flea. Now we're trying 2 weeks. Like, I kind of don't mind that they're just pushing stuff around to see how it works. So whatever. The hideout stuff. Personally, my gut reaction was that I hate this. We were talking a lot about it in chat yesterday, and it's kind of, there's two sides to the coin. On one side, a lot of people were saying, you know, this is going to help you value your life a lot more, right? There are going to be more things that you find that you want to keep. You might play slower, you might play smarter. And I totally understand that and actually agree with that. The flip side of that coin is now there's a bunch more things that when I find, I want to leave the raid as fast as possible. And I want to play Tarkov because I want to be inside of raids, not wanting to get out of raids as fast as possible. I spawn in, I find bolts. I died with the last bolt I needed 100 times. Now I really just want to get out with this one bolt. So it really is kind of pros and cons, and we're going to have to wait and see how this fleshes out through the rest of the wipe to really kind of weigh out.
Bro's got me interested in the gameplay he's playing here.
Those pros and cons are. I understand what they are trying to do. I understand that they are trying to stop people from just barreling through and making billions of rubles. They're trying to stretch out the progression. They're trying to, you know, once again, have...
I think the system needs an overhaul still. I still don't think they're at a point yet with the game where progression feels fulfilling. Like how other games have progression systems, like let's say Path of Exile, for example. I feel like they should take a similar approach, or maybe pull concepts from those games or developers and maybe somehow implement that into Tarkov.
More things that force you into like playing smarter and valuing your life. I just don't know if this is the right way to do it, and I don't know what the right way to do it would be. Once again, this isn't me trying to push my specific opinion. The economy in Tarkov is so messed up and so tangled into so many things that fixing it, quote unquote, I don't even know what to do anymore. So totally up to you to determine if these things are exciting or not. I've heard this is going to hurt the casuals. I've heard it's going to help the casuals. I've heard the Chads are going to hate it. I've heard the Chads are going to love it. At the end of the day, how do you feel about it? Let me know down in the comments below. But that's definitely one of the biggest things happening this wipe. And because nobody's really level 15 on day 2 of the wipe, we have to kind of wait and see how this marinates and plays out through the rest of the wipe. The next big thing worth talking about is the audio. So they upgraded the Oculus audio. In the patch notes, it says Meta Audio. Meta owns Oculus, so they didn't change.
I haven't really noticed a difference with the audio.
Audio engines again. I think they're just changing the name from Oculus to Meta. Anyways, newer version of the Oculus audio engine, and they've added quite a few things. They're trying to work on vertical audio. They're trying to work on, you know, how far away you hear things and kind of that gradient. And then they're also trying to add some reverb to make it a little bit more realistic. I will say that there have been instances where I shoot guns or a scav yells and it reverbs through the halls and it actually sounds really cool. And I've had certain instances where the reverb was reverbing the reverb and it sounded just like this cacophony of horrible sound. I've had times where people directly above me sounded awesome. It sounded super muffled and I could totally see what they're going for. And I've had times where people just run up to me with absolutely no noise. So it seems...
I've had, yeah, and I think a lot of that was the bugs, like with the AI not spawning properly or something.
Seems like in some ways they're kind of moving in the right direction, trying to make it better.
I mean, obviously this was a different scenario, but yeah, you guys get what I'm saying.
But we have a lot of classic Tarkov audio bugs, so I'm not ready to say it was a good change yet, but it's there, and if they continue to iterate on it, it could be a really big thing because it could make the audio better. We'll see what BSG does. You know what I mean? The next big thing that came with this patch is the customs rework. Now, we didn't get a whole new map, but customs almost feels like a whole new map. There's like 4 or 5 buildings in the center that are completely open now. And when I tell you customs is stressful now, there is a tremendous amount more angles.
Bro, I can't even run around this map as a PMC without getting sniped in the fucking head. Like, it's like every couple 2 to 3, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, I'm in customs, sniped. And I think a lot of it was AI.
And windows and stuff like that to be aware of. It is definitely going to take some time to kind of learn. There are so many more places you can die from in the middle, but the flip side of that is there are so many more ways to traverse the map. So as long as they didn't increase the amount of PMCs that spawn, even if you don't want PvP, there's probably a lot more ways to traverse the map, and it's not so like 3 lanes.
Nice.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how.
That's definitely a good idea. I think it's cool that they implemented that actually, because having multiple avenues to traverse a map could lead you into basically a different game every time. You know what I mean?
How custom.
Maybe not always, because things usually spawn where they spawn, right? Like, you got designated locations for certain things in the game. Like, there's designated loot locations for sure in this game, especially in customs, from what I've seen.
This felt for a really long time. You have to pick a lane and just go down. Now there's a lot more movement and traversal. So it seems really cool, and we'll kind of see how that plays out as well if you play customs a lot. And the last thing that I would call the big thing that came with this patch is the prestige mode. This is something that a lot of people have been wanting for a really long time. The requirements I'll have up on the screen here so that you can see what is required to prestige. The big thing is you need to be level 55, and you do need to get the Kappa container. Once again, 2 sides of a coin. I think a prestige system is very, very good and very important, even if you are more of a casual player, because it takes the people that grind and put thousands and thousands of hours, and a lot of those people are going to want a prestige, so they're going to cycle back down to level 1. So it will in some way keep more players at a lower level and keep some of those high tier, grinders away from just dominating you with the best gear in the game really early. Now, not every.
Yeah, that's facts. I actually like that idea, and how he just, described it and laid it out. That actually is a really good idea. That might help actually with a lot of end game before the wipes, because a lot of people, like especially beginners, they're not going to want to jump in the game and play it for the first time, halfway towards the end before a wipe, because people are just so OP and they got so much gear and weaponry, and it's insane.
Everybody that grinds is going to want a prestige. Some people are just going to keep their hundreds of millions of rubles, but I think this is good and healthy for the game. Flip side is, I personally would have liked to see them separate this from the Kappa container. The Kappa, in my opinion, is a fun thing to do once or twice, but gets really old really fast. Just rinse and repeating these same quests that are often, in my opinion, poorly designed over and over and over again. And the reward for getting Kappa is just deleting your entire account so you can do it again. I don't know, maybe not for me, but some people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very rewarding, but at the same time, I think it helps fix the player balance issue.
Really like that it's at Kappa. Once again, not telling you how to feel, that's just my opinion, but it is cool that it's in the game. There are 2 prestige levels.
Who knows, maybe they'll come up with a better idea in the future.
8 more to come, and I think they will be linked to the storyline quests eventually, but the prestige system, I'm really interested to see how this fleshes out and how this kind of changes what the average level of people is as the wipe progresses. Outside of that, I would say for the most part, the rest of the things in the patch notes were relatively minor. Now, you're probably wondering why I haven't talked about Unity 2022 at this point, because I put that in the minor category. The big thing, and we've known this for a while, the big hurdle is just getting the game running on Unity 2022. Unity is not going to inherently give us a ton of better performance. The game's not going to look better. We're not really going to get anything from it this patch. Hopefully, now that the game is running on it, they can, develop patches quicker, they can fix bugs quicker, and they can optimize the game quicker. But I know a lot of people were really hoping Unity was going to be a big thing. You really cannot tell, and I guess that's a good thing, because the big hurdle was just getting the game working on it. Some other small things are the recoil. That was another thing that people were freaking out about, rightly so, because they finally fixed the recoil.
No, I was like, man, is this gonna fucking, like, am I gonna not even be able to shoot anybody at this point, like with just a regular rifle or anything, or an SMG?
We didn't want them to ruin it. I cannot tell a difference. So if you were worried about the recoil, I genuinely played all day yesterday.
I haven't even noticed either, though, to be honest.
Anything. People were constantly asking
didn't even
me,
cross my mind until they just said something.
So it seems all visual, and it's not even enough visual for the guns I use to sell. Now, maybe certain guns will be much worse than others. I obviously haven't tested every single gun, but I would say don't worry about the recoil. Very minor adjustment. They also made some adjustments to Arena and how much money you get from winning games, from doing dailies and weeklies. They apparently made dailies and weeklies harder as well. So this will in some way change a little bit the amount of money flowing from Arena into Tarkov. We're going to have to let this cook and marinate to see how much it's going to affect it. But I know this was a big stressor on the economy last wipe. So we'll see how that changes as well.
I can't speak on Arena because
with Christmas lights everywhere,
I haven't played it.
Quests. We got a new mode, the Horovod mode or Korovod mode. I don't know. It's kind of like the marathon mode from last wipe, but a little bit different. You have to start on shoreline. You work from map to map to map, and you have to refuel a generator, then defend that generator. It's interesting, and it's similar to marathon. You have to select it up in the top right. So minor thing. It's like a cool mode if you want to check it out. If not, I haven't played it yet personally. There's a lot of quality of life stuff like continuous healing and making looting a little bit better with their priority window management system. We've got an entire new quest line for the BTR driver. I think you have to be a higher level to get those quests, so we'll see what kind of content that adds. And we got a lot of customization being brought to the hideout, posters, floors, walls. You can change quite a bit. So that is what we got in patch point 16.
Oh.
Personally, I don't think a lot of these things are going to have a ginormous effect on the game. Obviously,
I really haven't noticed much of a difference, guys, other than like the special winter event.
Economy is something that we're going to be watching between the arena and the hideout and the flea market stuff. It'll be interesting to see how the economy of the game changes, but the rest of the stuff kind of falls in the minor category. And I think that the community, I definitely don't speak for everybody, but I think where a lot of the community is our priorities are maybe wanting a more stable experience, a more optimized experience that more people.
I can get on board with that 100%. Because I feel like a lot of times when I'm playing the game, there's always some issue that I'm running into. Me and a buddy of mine were playing Tarkov the other night, and twice in that day, we got spawn killed by AI. So as soon as we spawned as PMC, AI was right there shooting at us when we spawned in, and we died instantly. I didn't even have a chance to fire back.
People can play, and a little bit more of a bug.
So optimization and bug fixes and just overall decent control over game would be, I think a lot of people can get on board with. That's probably top priority.
Experience. I know the game is still in beta, and I know they're working on getting a lot of new features in, but this wipe to me just kind of seems like a lot of little quality of life things that are all great, but I think a month from now, it's going to feel relatively the same. Obviously, we'll see and let the economy stuff marinate and see how much that changes, but it will be interesting to see. Now, it is worth noting that in the Tarkov TV live that they did while the patch was down, they did mention that they really want 2025 to be a year where they kind of tie everything up and work on playability. We all know they're kind of racing towards 1.0. They want to get the game out, but they are trying to get the game more playable and more stable. We'll see if they hold to that. Obviously, that could be something that they just said, but it's worth noting. At the end of the day, it's going to be completely subjective on if you want to hop back into this wipe or if you're having fun with this wipe. Video games are supposed to be fun. Yes, Tarkov is also supposed to be fun. And if you're enjoying it and if you're having fun, even though a lot of people are having issues, that's awesome. I hope you enjoy the game. I know there are people that have taken a long break from Tarkov, and if you're coming back, you're not just getting this wipe's patch notes, but you're getting the previous wipes as well. And maybe this is the perfect time to hop back in. If you've been struggling to find motivation to play Tarkov towards the end of last wipe, maybe this wipe won't be.
I don't think this wipe will motivate a lot of people to get back in the game, to be honest with you. I really don't. Like, there's such minor adjustments and minute things that unless you want to, check out the Christmas event and do that or whatever, but it's really nothing special, to be honest. Yeah, I don't see this bringing a lot of people back that straight away from the game.
Kind of the biggest thing for you. It's going to be completely subjective. but there are lots of games out right now, and you should just play one that you enjoy, whether that's Tarkov or that's something else. But ultimately, I hope that this breakdown helped. I hope it kind of gave you a good understanding of what this wipe is actually going to be and how it's going to feel over the next few months. If you like this video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the wipe down below in the comments section. And I've been streaming Escape from Tarkov, and I will be a lot as the wipe has just happened. So you can check me out on Twitch or here on YouTube. All those links will be down below. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by. I will definitely see y'all on the next one.
That's everything you need to know about patch 16 as far as I'm concerned at this point. Again, I don't think it's going to bring a lot of people that strayed away from the game back over just a little Christmas update. But, you know, I could be wrong. I'm sure there's some people out there that would want to try it out or whatever. Not a lot of changes that affect really anything in a big way. They still got a lot of bugs they need to fix, and hopefully we'll be seeing that sometime soon.
Hey guys, if you like the video, make sure you head over to the page, hit that like button, scroll over, smash that subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified for future video drops, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.